contain so much on the inside of this handbag. Anyways, let me first finish the details before we get into what is actually inside the handbag. So gold hardware to the bottom right here, it has 4 feet. The larger Lindy actually has another foot right in the center part, so when you put it down, of course it won't scratch the bottom of the leather. But since this is just a small bag, this one has 4 feet. And then to the side right here, it has a convenience pocket on both sides. I've seen some people, they put their cell phone on the side pocket, but I wouldn't recommend it, simply because it's going to stretch out the leather and I wouldn't want that look. I mean, I don't really like the look of sagging leather. So this one, you would just really use it either for your Metro card, or if you like have just parked or something and then you put your parking ticket in here, it would definitely fit. So you could put a card in there. My iPhone Plus does not fit at the side right here, so you would need the smaller size iPhone to fit. So I do not see why anybody would put their iPhone right here anyways. I don't think it's very secure, but anyways, that is just one point that I wanted to make in this video. So where I would usually put my phone is actually on the inside of this handbag, and this is very easy to get in and out of. I mean, you just have like these 2 small zippers right here, unbutton that, and then pull that open. And what I love about this handbag is that it has such a huge opening. So Clemence leather is going to get softer over time, so you will see a little bit of sagging, especially on the flap area, which doesn't really bother me. But yeah, it just really adds to the appeal actually of the handbag, because when you hold it like this, it kind of makes that sort of dumpling shape. It looks better when there's actually nothing on the inside of the handbag. Right now it just looks crumpled, but anyways, I will show you guys later when the bag is empty. So right now I have like all of my stuff on the inside of this handbag, and yeah, I was going to show you guys my phone. That's right, I'm so sorry, this video is getting a little bit messy, but anyways, this is my iPhone 7 Plus, so it does fit exactly width-wise into the phone, into the bag itself. So just put that in there, and then I like to keep it right here on the inside. And I find that, oops, I've stuffed it a little too full, and I find that it is actually very easy to get in and out of. So just putting your phone in there is no problem. The next thing that I have inside this handbag is a dust bag, which is full of face masks. So I just kind of like use this to cover up some extra face masks that I carry around with me, just in case some people might need, or like the loop breaks or something. I just wanted to have extra or spare with me all the time. And then the next thing that I have in this is a mini pochette. So this bag actually will fit the mini pochette, which is really, really nice. This mini pochette is completely full with tissue paper and lip balm and hair ties, and it's just a catch-all for everything basically. So this one is completely full and it fits on the inside of this handbag as well. And then I just have really quickly my car keys or my house keys, so that comes in this little pouch right here. And then I have also a card holder. The only thing about this is it cannot fit a long wallet. That was the only thing that I did not like about this handbag, is it wouldn't contain my Chanel wallet, which is the one that I usually bring around with me, but that's more of a longer wallet. So what I had to do is put everything into a small card holder, and this one is actually not even branded, but it does look really, really nice. I actually really like this card holder. It looks expensive, but actually it's a very, very cheap card holder, and it's made out of leather as well. It only looks expensive because of the design, but anyways, I will talk about that in another video. And then I also have with me my RFID card holder, and this is just for all of my credit cards. So now the bag is empty, so I can show you guys the inside. It is really, really huge in terms of capacity, especially since it looks like it's such a small bag. Surprisingly, it can fit a whole lot on the inside. So to the inside, or the sides right here, they do have like extra pockets as well, which are flushed against the side. I don't really know what you can use them for. If, for instance, you didn't want to bring around a wallet, it could fit in like extra cash or extra cards, and you could just keep them at the side if you wanted to. But I haven't found myself actually using that part of the handbag. So I am going to close this off right now and show you guys how it looks when it's empty. So it looks like that, and I think it's super, super cute. For the next part of the video, I am going to do mod shots, but first I wanted to compare this in size for you with the Hermes Mini Evelyn. So this is my Hermes Mini Evelyn, and then in terms of sizing, this is how it looks. So the Evelyn is definitely taller, but this
attention to the color of the linen stitch. It's a very top quality linen, and usually the fake bags, the color is a bit off. It has like an orange red undertone versus the real Louis Vuitton actually is a very muted brown. So make sure of that. The next step for me usually is the heat stamp. The heat stamp on the bags are very, very important. Like this is a real one, the real bag. So the heat stamp, it's this guy on the pocket. This is the heat stamp. It's actually embossed very deep. If you pay closer attention to the Louis Vuitton on the top, the L, the bottom of the L right over here, it's super short comparing to the regular L we write, and the O is oversized right next to the L, and it's very, very circly sphere O, and some of the replicas, the O it's more of the oval shape. And I mean, the super vintage one, sometimes the O could be looking like an oval, but the more current ones, the O, it's super sphere and circle. The most important thing on the heat stamp is the R. The little R supposed to be right above, in between the V and the U in the circle, and the R, it's very, very clean. It's very tiny. There is nothing else said except either France, depending on the year of the bag, or made in France. Again, pay attention to the stitching here. As you can see, it's very, very neat, evenly spaced out. The stamp right here where the Louis Vuitton on the pocket is, it's a high quality stamp. It's not gonna fade away over time. And let's compare it with the fake bag. Take a look at the fake one. The fake heat stamp has color. They did a pretty good job on the L and O, but the R is actually bigger and it's not very aligned above the V and U. The made in France, it's not very aligned. However, the stitching, it's not too bad. The hardware, it's not too bad, but the color of the pocket, it's way off comparing to the real bag. I hope it fits in the frame. So the red here, it's more pale comparing to this red. It has a pink undertone. The stitching on the pocket, it's very, very poor stitching. It's very bad. The corners are kind of crooked. The stamp is not in a best shape, and also it's getting a little like ballsy. The fabric, it's not the best to canvas comparing to this one. One last thing, as I said, stitching, it's very important. So make sure when you look at this part of it, it's supposed to be 5 stitches right here, which they followed it, and there should be 2 double stitch on the bottom, which only is 1 right over here. Always compare the both side with each other and all the stitching. I can't say enough about this stitching. Stitching is everything. Make sure you store your bags very well, especially the canvas one, because they can wreck. So make sure to leave them stuffed and display them in your closet. Don't fold them because they can get the shape of the folding. The next thing I usually pay attention, it's a date code. Actually, there is a website which I'm gonna link it down down below, and it's all about the date codes on the bags. I put it on the screen at my job, and we refer to that website all the time for making sure that the date codes are real, because these fake bags, they come out with the serial code. This is not a big deal when it comes to the date code. If it's an older bag, it's very important to look for the date code. But I talked to an associate at the Louis Vuitton recently, and she mentioned that the bags from like 2020, they're gonna stop doing the serial codes in the bag, and the only way you're gonna know by going by the date code would be getting it only from the Louis Vuitton store, because they have this certain and special lights that they put the bag underneath those lights. For us, being a normal human and not having that machine, we won't be able to read the code. If you see anything in like 2 years coming out.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. My name's Emily. I'm with myclosetrocks.com, where we sell pre-authenticated designer fashion. Okay, so I had something a little bit crazy happen to me. I purchased a Chanel classic flap on bagbar-or-steal.com, and unfortunately it is a counterfeit bag. I want to tell you how I figured this out and how you can too, to protect yourself on the pre-owned luxury market. It actually has worked out perfectly. I have 2 classic flaps here that are the same style, and one is fake and one is authentic. So I'm gonna share a couple quick checkpoints you can look at in your bag to see if it is real or fake. Of course, always get it professionally authenticated. This video is not a substitute for that. Companies I trust and recommend are linked in the description. If you haven't been able to tell already, this bag right here is counterfeit and this one is authentic. Now, when I first got this bag, I was like, oh, I kind of like this matte leather look. I was like, maybe newer models of the Chanel classic flap possibly have a more of a matte sheen to it. But it's also what tipped me off, where I was like, this looks weird. This bag is stiff, it's matte, and it has a very specific chemically smell that normal Chanel bags do not have. And I know I sound crazy, but you really can smell a difference in counterfeit and authentic bags. I'm gonna go over quite a few checkpoints for the Chanel classic flap in order to verify authenticity. I have linked the blog post below, which will include some really great close-up photos and descriptions. Before I get started, I would like to say working with Bagbar or Steal to get this bag back to them has been very seamless and easy, and I know they take authenticity very seriously, so I definitely know that mistakes can be made. This happens with the RealReal, it happens with these huge companies. So that's why it's important to protect yourself and make sure you advocate, because sometimes they're not gonna even consider your case if too much time has passed. So make sure you really pay attention and get everything double authenticated, especially if it's a high value bag. All right, so let me just show you really quick what this authentic bag looks like. The leather has a slight sheen. It is pebbled because it is caviar. And here's just what it looks like. Absolutely beautiful. This one is the counterfeit bag. And so you can see there is less shine on that caviar leather. And just feeling these 2 bags, this authentic one has a little bit more flexibility. It's a little softer, whereas this is a very stiff leather. The pebbling should be very pronounced, and it also should kind of show like a midnight blue if you look really closely. All right, let's look at the stitching on these 2 bags and compare them. On the fake bag, you're gonna see the thread that is used for the bag stitching is not consistent with Chanel standards, and there are many stitching errors that are throughout the bag. Sometimes there's a little double stitch that they miss, and the thread just looks slightly thicker. And if we look at the stitching under the flap, the incorrect color of thread is used for the stitching. The fake one is too light, where the authentic one is slightly darker and matches that burgundy color better. It's also important to note that Chanel's interiors are made of, I believe, exclusively lambskin, where the fake one is calfskin. Let's look at the CCs on the bag. The CC motif is not in the correct position. It is also the wrong size, and it is not the correct curvature that it should have. Next, let's look at the interior brand stamp. Is a little bit off in terms of font and sizing. Looking at the screws underneath the flap where the CC is, you're gonna wanna make sure that the screw has one line indent and not a Phillips head screw, and that the Chanel engraving isn't too bubbly or unclear. If we look at the stitched CCs in the burgundy interior, you're gonna notice on the fake one, the snap closure is a little bit